Hi, it's Mark Loftus, Senior Editor of Post Magazine. I'm here in Las Vegas for NAB 2015, and I'm joined at the Post booth with Light Iron's Michael Cioni.
Hi, welcome. Thanks for having me, Mark.
Thanks for joining us. Michael, you guys have had a lot of news over the past couple of months.
Yeah, you know, one of the greatest things that happened to our company is the acquisition by Panavision. And this is really good for two reasons. One, it finally gives Light Iron the ability to expand at the faster rate that we've always wanted to. And two, it allows Panavision to integrate technology that's very data-centric and software-centric, which wasn't something that they used to really explore as dynamically or as deeply. So it's a very mutually beneficial process, and we're really excited about the development and progress we've had so far in 2015.
And they have a big channel, too, that you can now get your Outpost and lily pads to more locations. Is that the case too?
Yeah, if there's anything very specific about me, I'm anti is a big word, but I'm pretty anti brick and mortar. I think it limits creative flexibility and creative control. And Panavision has 68 locations worldwide. That conceivably gives us 68 locations to put mobile systems so that there's always a outpost near you, right? And that way, wherever you choose to shoot, you're not going to be far away from the benefits of a brick and mortar company that's protecting you and helping you without the limitations of an actual address.
Gotcha.
So that's really the benefits of that.
Now, here at NAB 2015, you're doing a couple of presentations over at the Panasonic booth. What do you got going on over there?
Well, you know, Panasonic's an interesting company because if you remember back to 2005, it was actually in 2004, at the end of the NAB show, we got a magazine, and the back magazine was a picture of an HVX 200, but it had a silk cloth over it, and it said NAB next year. And everyone started to be like, oh my gosh, what is that camera? And this was when DV and digital video and HD was very, very hot and new. And then they showed the HVX 200 the year later, and they introduced P2. And they basically bet the farm on P2. So 10 years ago, Panasonic is leading the charge in file-based, high-definition, solid-state capture, right? And then it sort of disappeared because they stuck with the broadcast instincts, which works for them. And these other companies like Red and then Arri and then Cioni started moving into the cinema-style file-based systems. Well, Panasonic's simply back. They said, okay, well, why don't we try this cinema thing? And they asked me if I had some ideas. And I had actually presented ideas to all the camera manufacturers. And Panasonic was the most ripe when it came to needing and wanting to do something different. So the number one thing that the Panasonic, it's such a crowded market with cameras out there. It's very, very crowded. But with Panasonic, what we did is we developed a camera that can capture 5 different codecs all inside of itself.
Wow.
And you can go through the entire floor. You will never find one camera that can record 5 completely different codecs all in itself without any cables or external things like that. And so what we're trying to do is build a camera that has a workflow that anyone can leverage because 1 or 2 or 3 of those codecs is definitely going to fit into your pipeline.
Understood. And that's kind of what Light Iron specializes in, these workflow solutions for newer technologies. And I guess that leads us to a recent project that you guys worked on, Focus, the Will Smith film, which was one of the first major studio films edited in Final Cut Pro. What did you guys contribute to that?
I worked on Focus for about 2 years, and it started with a year of pre-production development because at the time, Final Cut 10 was not quite, it wasn't ready for a primetime major motion picture with 150 hours worth of content and all these things. What people mistaken about Final Cut 10, sometimes when we're doing the bean counting, we count the things that are missing, we count the things that are wrong. Our minds, just as people, sometimes we notice what's wrong before we notice what's right. We notice what we don't like before we point out what we do, right? Final Cut 10 has a lot of things not to like. And that's what everybody focuses on because it's sort of in our nature. Especially, it's fun to criticize a big company like Apple because you're like, I'm smarter than those guys, right? It feels good. So we do that. We do that because it's edifying. But if you really get down to it, the things that it does do are things that no other system has ever done, are a long way, years away from being able to do. And what Apple sort of did is they developed the things nobody thought of, and they hadn't yet developed the things everybody else had already implemented. And so you have to look at Final Cut from slightly an upside-down architecture perspective. And it gives you features that you've never had that you really, really are going to fall in love with. But when it comes to the most benign and basic features, they're not going to necessarily be in the place you expect them to be. And some of them took a long time to get there. So with Focus, we had to do a lot of development to get some of those basic things up there while being able to still leverage all these new features. And Focus is, I can say after hundreds and hundreds of feature films, that's the most advanced workflow we've ever done, and absolutely the most creatively controlling one by the director and editor that we've ever seen. And we've deployed it now on multiple films since then, and we're really excited that directors and editors should and can have more control, and Final Cut 10 is the best way to do that.
Very cool. Well, Michael, we want to thank you for coming by our booth here at NAB 2015. And
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for sharing that info.
You got it.
We'll be back.